was all an elaborate fabrication to break his will, I suppose.
If a man screams in a digital world, do his neighbors hear him? I have walked through over 200 VR art galleries, and now I've got some thoughts. Follow along with me as I dish out my brutally honest experiences. As a VR enthusiast, I've been diving headfirst into XR, that SpongeBob rainbow of imagination right now that turns the gears of creatives like myself. Recently working with artists to create virtual worlds, I would quite often add another dimension to their work, a service that I hope will inspire others. After several commissions, however, I crave something more mind-blowing, extraordinary, and possibly even life-changing. After all, the battle would be glorious to try and fight some of the prevailing wisdom that XR and all of this other stuff is just not worth it. If I wanted to make something good, I needed experiments or empirical observations based on my prediction that this medium was worth it, or that even life-changing experiences were even possible. Yeah, science. Armed with my VR headset and a thirst for adventure, I charged my batteries and loaded up to explore every artsy nook and cranny I could find in VR. And after some hardcore virtual legwork and many hours, I hit up 200 VR art galleries, most of which were inside VR chat. Now, judging art isn't a piece of cake, especially when it's not your own masterpiece. I knew I had to evaluate these galleries without straight up disregarding the blood, sweat, and tears behind them. However, I did have a point of reference. My own work, for one, and even sharing these experiences with others and receiving their feedback. So, as I ventured deeper into the rabbit hole, I and they noticed certain elements that made some galleries utterly cringeworthy. Here's what made their work scream, "I don't care about my audience." First off, if I get to your world and there is no off button for the world sound and you're blasting the loudest rock music along with flashing lights, there's a good chance your art gallery is a trash heap. Even then, I would turn off my world volume and soldier on. Many places should have told you who created the art and why they created it, or even gave it a name. It just showed a big lack of effort. But art enthusiasts will argue you're supposed to interpret the art. You shouldn't need a description. You can just stand before it, interpret it, and appreciate it. And yes, I get that. That can be true in some cases. I would come across something that would just stop me in my tracks. But there are so many other cases where the art was intriguing, but it was created in a context that I don't know. And because of that, the only reference I could draw was, wow, that's some colorful wall vomit. I wish I knew why they created it. They showed no extra effort, and I mentally tossed it aside and moved on, just as they must have. That brings me to the whole look at me aspect. I did my best not to judge the art precisely as I looked at the world. However, far too many of these galleries were people's pin-up displays of their favorite thing, which they called art galleries or galleries. I could understand, but again, without any context, your photos look nice to you because you framed just you in your avatar standing there. And maybe you put a couch in front of it? Congrats, I guess people can stare at you. If I wanted that, I'm sure I could find it on Instagram. It is so unfortunate to see such beautiful photos and art elsewhere that could have had much more meaningful of an impact. It's disheartening when somebody neglects to consider their audience, because it's a critical factor in creating something that resonates with people, or even considering a more general audience when putting their artwork out. If only the creator had taken time to refine their work and think about how others might perceive it, they could have created something extraordinary. I could see talent everywhere, but most became altars unto themselves or their sycophants, visual and sensational pixelated garbage. As I explored art galleries, I found so many as well that were empty of life, with no updating or caring for those who may visit. I kept finding photos of digital families, everyone loving the company of others, and it hurt me deep inside to see them live in such a place of harsh lines and light, not updated since 2020, neglected. It makes me feel alone and sad even if I have company. Like, The disappointing feeling mixed with dread, as if the bigger the screenshots and pictures on the wall, the smaller I am in viewing them. Long, empty corridors, with the walls filled, but my eyes can only see what is missing. A kind of love told by the pictures, but not really shown. Now that brings me to the meme and AI trash I found. As I look at the memes and AI-generated artwork I come across, I realize that value isn't lacking in art that is curated, suggested, modified, and given meaning. Similarly, pictures with words and memes with funny sayings can be just as valuable. However, the key to creating something valuable is putting some freaking effort into it. I've seen countless examples of people who say, "I did it because I thought it was funny." While it's important to act on one's personal sense of humor, it's equally important to consider how others might perceive the content. It might be easy to believe that people can see that as high effort, but really it comes in as low effort content. And if you don't believe people can see low effort content, you may have deep fried your brain in some meme somewhere, and it's time to get out of your bubble, touch some grass, contemplate how it feels, and then come back with some perspective. And let me know how the grass feels. It's been a little while. The most surprising things I found were art galleries that shattered traditional norm. They found ways to be similar, but break the format, defy general physics, for example, and imbue the art with extra meaning to the space they had created. Again, the best art galleries took art and elevated it through the design of their building or environment. Like a cheat code into my soul, when the art was built into the environment's design, the experience felt more meaningful and impactful. Large spaces in an area made sense if the artwork depicted large spaces. If the artwork was supposed to be up close and personal, showing feelings, intimate connections, it did that as well in a space, size, and the materials that they used. The most meaningful spaces didn't leave a corner unused, empty, or blank. They were smart or clever, and they blocked off areas with a wall or didn't bother building it, so that you would never know the difference. No unused door handles, no unused objects. Anything that looked like it could be moved, could be. And for the love of God, they didn't make you hungry by giving you fake food you can't eat. I don't care if immersion demands a cafeteria in your art gallery, but when you 3D scan food, I'd better be able to order it within 10 minutes and eat it like in real life. Wow, I'm hungry. Japanese Worlds, I'm looking at you for making me leave for a sandwich. Alright, I'm ranting enough about the not so great art galleries. To help you avoid some of the pitfalls, I've compiled a playlist of standout worlds that you can find in the description below. Until next time, keep exploring and appreciating the virtual art world.